Hey, if you're still awake, I would like to say welcome back to the last episode of the series Fear in the trilogy of Fear. If you noticed last week, we targeted perfection, and this week in the trilogy, we targeted fear. Tonight, we're finishing our conversation about fear, and I think fear has a favorite phase, a favorite phrase, a favorite phrase. Not give up, not you can do it, not even you're going to fail. Fear's favorite phrase is just wait a little longer. Try to say that 100 times fast, 5 times fast. Favorite phrase. A very loaded 2 words to say multiple times over. But I digress. Because fear knows something. If it can convince you to wait, it doesn't have to convince you to quit. I would like to start this segment off by saying the right time. I think a lot of us are waiting for a version of life that doesn't exist. The perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity, the perfect amount of confidence, the perfect amount of money, the perfect amount. That was kind of embarrassing, so we're going to do that again. The perfect amount of certainty. And because we're waiting for perfect conditions, we never start. The truth is, most meaningful things begin long before we feel ready. I'm going to share a personal reflection of my own life, of my own story, my own journey. I like to say, looking back on my own life, some of the biggest decisions I ever made happened before I felt prepared. And I'll always tie this back into skydiving, right? Because skydiving is one of the biggest things a human can do. Not only you have to trust another human, you have to trust yourself. You have to. I was never prepared to jump off the plane. Never was. Never will be. Never will. I never will be even now. I'm never prepared to jump off a plane. I just knew I had to do it. It was one of the biggest decisions of my life in that moment. Maybe in my lifetime. It wasn't a moment where all of the doubt disappeared. Of course I was doubtful. Of course I was thinking, if all goes wrong, I won't see my mom again. I won't see my dad again. I won't see my family again. I won't see my friends again. In fact, my job will even think I went missing because there's no way they would have even known. There's no way they would have known. There wasn't a moment where fear packed its bags and left. Fear stayed with me the entire time. When I was learning how to prepare, when I got on the plane, when I went up into the sky, and when I looked down at Earth. Fear was always there with me every step of the way. There was just a moment where I realized waiting wasn't helping me. It really wasn't. It was just building up anxiety. It was building up more fear. It was building up everything, and it was making my courage go down, down, and down. If I were to fall for it, if I were to wait even longer before jumping out that plane, I would have never did. And that would have never changed the course of my life. Regardless, I moved anyway. I jumped. Hear me when I say this. I jumped. I took the leap. I took the leap of faith. Seriously, I did. I don't want to sound like Spider-Man, but I truly did take the leap of faith and plummeted from the airplane into the earth, from the heavens into the earth. Seriously, I did. It's a hidden cost. of allowing fear to make you wait. There's a hidden cost. People talk about the risk of failure, but we don't talk enough about the risk of waiting. The years you don't get back, the opportunities you never discover, the versions of yourself you never meet. Because every decision has a cost. Even doing nothing has a cost. Especially doing nothing. Sometimes I wonder how many people spend their lives waiting to become someone they've already capable of becoming, waiting to feel brave, waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel worthy, waiting to feel ready. But what if readiness isn't a feeling? What if readiness is a decision? What if readiness is action? What if courage isn't found before the step, but because of it? I actually really like that. Let me reflect on that. I always say it's really powerful, but I genuinely surprise myself every time I say something like that. What if courage isn't found before the step, but because of it? I really do like that. And that makes me reflect myself. I do these pauses to give you, the listener, time to think. Because I'm just simply talking to you, like I say multiple times over, straight off the dome, unedited, real, raw. People may say it might be unprofessional, but that's fine. I'm talking to you, the listener, as a friend, as somebody who needs somebody to talk to. Like a normal conversation, not played in curated words, just a normal conversation. But when I do say things like, what if courage isn't found before the step, but because of it? I feel profound. I feel like the modern day version of Shakespeare. I digress. So I ask you, the listener, what are you waiting for? What would happen if you started before you felt ready? What would your life look like a year from now if you took the first step tonight? And what would it look like if you didn't? I don't think fear wants us to fail. I think fear wants us to stay familiar, to stay comfortable, to stay predictable, to stay where we are. Because the unknown is uncomfortable, even when the unknown might be exactly what we've been looking for. Even when starting this channel is an unknown to me, right? I don't know how to reach out to the people, to reach out to the algorithm, to get people to comment, to get people to watch. It's a unknown, but I still do it. I still took that step. I still didn't let fear conquer me. For me, the speaker, for my voice to reach you, the viewer, your ears, your heart, your soul, your person, to resonate with you. Maybe the right time isn't coming. Maybe there isn't a future version of you that suddenly is fearless. Maybe the person you've been waiting to become is built through the very thing you're avoiding. Maybe tonight, stop asking yourself whether you're ready. Ask yourself whether waiting is helping. Because fear has a way of making tomorrow sound safer than today. Until one day, there aren't as many tomorrows left. Now that's powerful. The room will reopen on Tuesday night. With that being said, I'll leave the light on for you. And remember, fear is something you shouldn't wait for. Take that first step.